what was the last interview that you had that went unexpectedly well? Not from a numbers perspective. Like, for instance, I was talking to KTO, and he said one of the interviews that he had was like one of his favorite interviews ever was with Southside, because the perception that he had before going into the interview was just what he saw online, and then the interview went well. He said he was like a really cool dude. So what was that last interview for you where you're like, I don't know how this interview is going to go, and then by the end of it you're like, wow, this was actually really a good time?
One that stands out to me is like recently I was doing an interview with a Cowboy from Rolling 60s who was worked with Nipsey Hussle and stuff, and I was excited to do the interview in the first place, but then he pretty much moved me to tears when he was talking about how he stopped doing hard drugs because of his kids, and that was just like a moment of like, it just like hit me, like borderline moved me to tears, just like realizing like how much his kids meant to him. And I just really didn't see that coming in that interview, even though it was overall like probably one of the best interviews I've done in recent memory. But yeah, that was definitely a moment that really took me by surprise. Or even like The Game, when I was interviewing The Game, and I think the best thing that I could get is just to do an interview that's good enough that people just get outside of their box of who they usually are. And like The Game during that interview, like he just turned into this really like silly, bubbly, funny version of himself. And he even acknowledged, he's like, I don't get like this around people that I don't know. And I was just like, that's so sick that I just fucking somehow through the goofy ass questions I was asking, or the fact that we rolled him a blunt, like had got him into a place where he was acting like a version of himself that he doesn't normally get to be on camera. I felt like that was kind of an honor.
Yeah. I need to watch that Game one. I haven't watched that one yet. Back then, it felt like you had more of a close relationship / friendship with a lot of the people you interviewed, a lot of rappers. Were there any regrets getting that close to rappers in terms of being able to effectively still do your job?
It was just that it was like more of a natural part of my life at that time. Like my life at that time was, I'm in the bike shop working and like doing podcasts and shit all day, and then I go out at night. And I'm like going to shows, getting fucked up. I mean, you make great friends through getting fucked up, whether it's drinking or doing drugs, whatever. Or even like when you think about Pump and like Ski Mask and how I ended up getting cool with all those guys. It's just literally like I extended my ticket. I was on a family vacation with my family in Florida for a week. I extended my ticket so I could stay 2 extra days so I could go to a couple of different shows, and one of them was like a Lil Pump, Ski Mask, Wi-Fi's funeral show, whatever. Now I probably would not even go to that show, you know? I definitely wouldn't like extend my ticket and get a hotel room for an additional couple nights. Like, you know, like the equivalent show right now, you know? Like realistically, I'm just kind of jaded. At that time, I was just like chasing after something so hard, just trying to get into the position. Like it was my first time really like being around stars like that, or even, you know, they're underground, but it's like I could tell that this was happening, you know? And like I even said to my girl the other day, because we were talking about, I forget, some celebrity, and how when you just see people around him, how they just dick ride him and they just follow him around and they go so out of their way to be around this dude just because he's rich and famous. And I just told my girl, I was like, I can never be like that with anybody. Like I could never be like you. I was like, you always pretty much see me playing the main character, you know? Like I'm not ever really like going somewhere to be the backup to somebody else. And she goes, yeah, but you were kind of like that with Lil Pump. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. I was like, I definitely like, or even like X kind of, but not really, because I was only around him like 2 times in real life. But like, you know, like at that time, I don't know, I just kind of, I was a little bit too caught up in the swing of things, but then also I was really living that life. And like, when I think about it, I had this super close friendship with X, and then I had a super close friendship with Juice. And I kind of feel like after that, that was it. You know, in terms of like really maintaining like relationships, of talking to people that much and shit, I don't know. I kind of feel like it just kind of made me like cut off from people in that way. And now I focus more on like the business and the co-hosts that I'm building on here. And I feel like that's who I'm like, I just have way more focus on that. And I definitely like see, I don't know, I just feel like the rappers I meet now, they're so different that it's like I'm unlikely to go that hard out of my way to develop a friendship with them. It's like that part of my life has kind of been replaced with like family and kids and like all that side of shit. that it's like now I just treat the no jumper shit as a little bit more straight up business type stuff. And it's like, hey, we could have an open DM, we could have each other's phone numbers, we could talk, whatever. But in terms of like, I'm not like sitting on FaceTime with you like I used to do with X, or I'm not like going to your mansion to kick it on the couch and just hang out and fucking pop a Xan or whatever. Like that shit, to me, that feels like a million miles away, a million years ago.